listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I'm back. My voice cracked. All is well. All is normal. I'm glad to have just wanted to thank Keith for stepping in last week. He was already on the books to be a guest and then stepped into the co-host role on top of that. So I really appreciate him just jumping in on short notice while I was out. How are you, Spencer?
I'm okay.
You sound
basketball
okay.
fan Spencer is a little peeved at the end of that game, which we'll get into.
Which game are you talking about? The TCU loss on the road by 3?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you not watching live or
just
unfamiliar
went
with our
final.
recording schedule, it just went final. Yeah, TCU just only moments ago ended up with a stand clearing, court storming 66 win against your Texas Tech Red Raiders. And it's probably going to turn their program around based on the narrative of what I saw and heard during the basketball game.
Yeah.
So good for them. Good for them.
They are now 3-8 in quad 1 wins and 8-7 in Big 12 play. Just won a top 10 Big 12 basketball game. So
4th top 10 opponent they've taken down in a row at home, I think is what the guy said.
Obviously we were their Super Bowl and what's his face? Give me a second to find his name.
Player or coach?
Player. Wasn't even a starter. We got cooked by a bench player.
Was it White?
Yes.
Okay.
Trezarian White.
Oh, yeah. Definitely got
27 minutes, 16 points. 5 of 12 shooting. But sure, man. Flex on everything. You got 3 of 7 from 3. 3 of 4 from the free throw line. 4 rebounds. 1 turnover, 2 steals.
Took a pretty wild 3 in one of those final possessions that I was really hoping would come back to bite him, but it didn't.
He had 16. Texas Tech had 2 with more than 16. You did have a starter in the game with 0 points in 12 minutes. Kerwin Walton, welcome back to form. Glad to have you. Christian Anderson, 29 minutes, 5 points. Fetty, 17 minutes, 3 points. Kevin Overton. I already said Kevin Overton. Elijah Hawkins, 37 minutes, 4 points. What are we doing?
Well, I know, and he had a couple of late turnovers, which I hate to even bring up because they were very late. One of them, the announcer even gave himself credit for it being the broadcast jinx, because he did. He just talked about how good Hawkins has been and didn't have any turnovers, and then boom, immediately turned one over in the lane. But yeah, I would love to see him take a few more shots, but he's still not consistent from 3. That's the nicest thing we can say.
Chance McMillan finishes with 19.7 of 10 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, including the one with 4 seconds, whatever, to go to get it within 3 or within 2. That, I guess, that second to last defensive possession where you let them run off like 40 seconds a clock before you finally did something. I was like, what? I understand the main goal was to play defense, but after they run the entirety of the shot clock, miss it, and then get the rebound, you now let them run 30 seconds off the clock and maintain possession when, you know, I mean, I guess it's new age thinking here to foul. I don't know. That's not even the most egregious something. The most egregious error that happened at the end of this game. TCU inbounds the ball with 5.5 seconds to go. You tie him up, and they call a foul, Michael. You
Well,
had
yeah, and it
nothing but
was
ball.
Christian Anderson's 5th foul on top of that, so it knocked him out of the game.
Yeah. So he finishes 29 minutes, 5 points, 5 fouls. I don't think it was a foul. But you know what's wild, Michael? They call that a foul, but they absolutely obliterate Toppin on a shot. He's literally a shooting foul. So, like, he fouled so hard he airballs it.
You can't call a foul on a 3-point shot when you're, when those 3 free throws could possibly send the game to overtime. You just absolutely can't do it. That's the time to swallow the whistle. Is just, hey, that was all ball and forearm, possibly partial
Elbow.
eyeball. Yeah, but it's fine. That's when you swallow the whistle, Spencer. It's taught. It's very common for them to go through many drills through the extensive training at official camp. Hey, it's under 5 seconds. Anything goes.
You only attempted 8 free throws on the night. If that wants to inform your opinion on how the game was played offensively for you for Texas Tech, and how it was officiated. Whereas TCU attempted 22 free throws. You were 5 of 8. They were 15 of 22. You had 13 turnovers. You only forced 9. You were out rebounded 37 to 29. Doubled in offensive rebounds. You gave up 15 offensive rebounds and you only collected 7, which led to 17 second chance points for TCU. You were minus 15 in bench points, 23 to 8. A lot of it's going to come from Trezarian White, who
Yeah.
you said had 16 points off the bench. And you had Christian Anderson's 5 and Fetty's 3. About even points in the paint. You had 34. They had 30. Fast break 9 to 10. Texas Tech had 9. 3 to 2 in blocks. 19 to 9 assists. Like, you outshot them percentage wise, at least 49 to 41. You led in 3 points, 36 to 35. Although that's a dip in your season percentage. Your free throws were way down. But it all came from Chance McMillan's 19, D5's 21, and JT Toppin's reduction after coming off of the Big 12 Player of the Week sweep, newcomer and Player of the Week.
Yeah.
First Big 12 player to do that this year. He only had 14, but he had 14 points, 11 rebounds. Still hit you with the double-double. But
yeah, his last 2 games, it was, what was it? Some insane, like
76.
Yeah, like 37 points per game and 14 rebounds or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Average.
So 74 points.
Now, one of them was double overtime. Okay, sure. But, man.
But, like, not to give him his credit,
a run.
He finished regulation with 33.
That's true. Gosh,
Which
that was a fun one.
I think he had 33 against Oklahoma State too, or something like that. So,
well, and I want to reiterate if you've already mentioned it, but Chance McMillan, 70% from the field tonight, 7 of 10, including 5 of 7 from 3, including that 3-pointer that gave Tech a little bit of hope right at the very end, and just was absolutely covered up. I think he may have even been double teamed. I can't tell you for sure. He was practically shooting it from where McCaslin was standing and still drained a 3. So just another great night from him tonight.
TCU whistled for 10 total fouls in the night.
Yeah, it's a very clean game. Clean.
You know how much I believe that?
Just, yeah.
Big fat 0. Because you probably could have whistled Dixon for 10.
Speaking of 0, that is
Being on
the
the court.
that is the
tripping
current
people.
wind chill in Lubbock, Texas. 0.
Yeah, it's cold one right now.
Yep.
13 actual degrees outside.
Had a friend in Abilene text me right before we started. It's -5 wind chill there. So
It's an Arctic blast.
yeah, we're doing okay up here. So, not to skip ahead, but on my TV right now is Texas Tech's next opponent on the diamond. UC Irvine Anteaters are hosting USC and are up 2-1 the bottom of the 5th. But what I was laughing at is their jersey just says Eaters.
Solid.
I don't know why I think that's funny. It just seems funny. Just caught me off guard when I looked up, and that's where the laugh came from. So it was related to the eventual conversation we'll get to with baseball. But yeah, so the Eaters are coming to town.
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
Well, since you were last here on the podcast, you mentioned the Arizona State game. Hated that went to double overtime, but love that you ended up pulling that out. 111 to 106.
Whew.
Then you hit the road, took on Oklahoma State and obliterated them by 38, 93 to 55. It wasn't even close, man.
Never
close.
I know it just sounded like there was. I'll admit this was one I didn't get to just sit down and watch, but I was keeping up with it and thought, oh boy, okay. Because let's see, that was Saturday. I was at the Lady Raider game, so I was just checking my phone here and there, and it was I don't know if I'm going to go back and rewatch that one. I think the score speaks for itself. feel like we're good here.
You were up 20 at the half and just continued to build that lead. There was a moment when Oklahoma State was competent offensively and like kept it within like they didn't allow Texas Tech to stretch the lead for a bit, but then the dam broke and Texas Tech continued to build that lead in an empty Gallagher-Iba arena. So we weren't able to fill the Stillwater arena, but we were able to fill TCU's arena tonight. Props to all of those TCU fans for bearing the cold weather in Fort Worth. They were getting so many props on the broadcast, Mike. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not. I missed all that.
They were like, oh, these fans, they're real fans, braving the cold weather and the precipitation outside. It's nearly freezing. Oh, yeah? It's 13 degrees here, man. But you know how hard it is to go sit inside?
Clovis. We drove to Clovis today in flurries. Goodness.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was snowing this morning. Yeah, you know how difficult it is to go inside? So difficult, Michael.
I'll tell you, it is jarring. I think I told you about it, but the last little random snow we had, we were at a Lady Raiders game, and you could tell, there's going to be a little norther blow in. You could feel it during the game. Just like, oh boy. Oof. And so, yeah, completely underdressed, walking to the car in what was essentially a West Texas blizzard. So there's some props there. There's some props there. The walk to the car that's what separates the men from the boys. I was definitely a boy during that walk. Very cold. Very, very brisk. Just left my family behind. I don't even know how they got to the car.
Y'all know where we parked, right?
I gotta go start the car. Gotta go get it warm up for you. That 42 seconds I get there before you, man, it's gonna be piping hot and warm, and I'm not getting there for me. This is for you. Pulled a hamstring on the way, but this was not for me. This was for you.
Looking ahead, basketball wise, Michael, you were on the way back home, I should say. You're home.
I'm coming home.
Hosting West Virginia at 12 noon. And
Is
then,
that right? Did I do that right?
I think so.
Yeah, that seems like a weird time for us to be hosting it. Okay.
I'm on the official website even, so.
Okay. All right.
And quick turnaround, Monday night, 8 p.m. hosting Houston. And then on the road versus Kansas.
Ooh.
Michael, you got a sneaky stretch here. You could go 0-4.
Absolutely, you could. Are you ready to talk about West Virginia a little bit? Because I want to share with you some things I found, and I do not like them.
Yeah, because the way that you played tonight has me questioning my confidence in this weekend's matchup versus West Virginia. And then you get the rematch with Houston. Luckily, you'll be home, but then you hit the road in Lawrence, which has done you no favors historically. And then you got two more to wrap it up. Home versus Colorado on March 5th. And then you finish the season in Tempe at Arizona State March 8th. For a 9 p.m. tip-off, I was all about bringing in these Arizona schools, but these 9 o'clock tip-offs and kickoffs, screw that. We don't need an 8 o'clock local tip if it's west of the central time zone.
It's kind of fun once or twice for football, but man,
Once was brutal. That
what you
kickoff
get?
against Washington State,
Yeah,
9:40, whatever it was.
I think Arizona was pretty rough too.
Yep.
But so
All right.
once you get to, well, heck, Arizona State might have been too. We hosted Arizona State because Scattaboo came here. Yeah, that's something that it's kind of novel during football season. But man, 4 or 5 times playing BYU and Utah and Arizona State. I'm like, oh my gosh, can't y'all get to campus before 6? We do that anyway. So I wanted to bring up West Virginia. I know there's probably a lot of folks like, oh yeah, West Virginia, whatever. So sure, Haslam has Tech projected to win by 9. West Virginia's 11th in the Big 12.
Well, what has them have you for tonight's game, Michael?
Oh man, I deleted it. That's my bad. I deleted the TCU row before we did that. It had Tech winning.
Yeah, let's see. This was a 73-65 win. So 8-point victory for Texas Tech.
Yeah. So very similar margin of victory. The difference here is, of course, Tech will be hosting. Something that sounds like a perk initially is that West Virginia is dead last in scoring offense.
63 points per game.
Yeah. But number 2 in the conference in scoring defense at 64.8. So,
but quick math, that's negative.
That's negative. I agree. But this game, I just feel like this could just get really ugly. They are also 42.9%. They allow 42.9% field goals, which is 6th in the conference, and they allow only 29% from 3, which is 2nd in the conference.
Offensively, Michael, they are shooting 42% from the field, which is 13th.
Also bad, yeah.
And they shoot 30% from 33, which is also 13th.
Okay.
Texas Tech. So to your point, the West Virginia 3-point defense, 29% second. Texas Tech is shooting 37%, which is second.
So something's got to give
strength on
here.
Strength, yeah.
So that's all I'm getting. I think they're going to make Tech do things they don't want to, and really pressure them at the arc, and probably get some results from that. They are not a good rebounding team.
No, they are
on
dead last.
Either side. Yeah, dead last on rebounding period. They're 13th on rebounds allowed. They are 2nd though in turnover margin. They turn the ball over 9.7 times and grab 12.2 turnovers. So all of these stats lead to they're a really strong defensive team who puts up a bunch of bricks. But we've seen teams like that.
Arizona State was supposed to be bad, so
Yeah. I mean, Texas Tech has had teams like that that really didn't have the sharpshooters that they have right now, but because they could play good sound defense, could just give people hell and win games 45-41. But I don't know if that's what we're going to find out here. I don't think it's going to be that low or anything, but I just expect this game could get really ugly and just as a viewer of the game of basketball, as a watcher of the game, John Rothstein would probably come up with a T-shirt about this game. The meat grinder.
press Virginia.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, does his new staff even press? Who
Yeah, I don't
knows?
know. No idea. So there are some. I know, obviously, there are some things there you like. You like that they're, they have really some of the worst shooting in the conference and the actual worst scoring in the conference. But that defense, Tech played really well against Houston, which is the only other one kind of in the same category as West Virginia as far as these defensive stats. But
It's wild,
it's going to be
Michael.
tough.
Looking at these conference stats, like where Houston is 1, there's like a huge margin between 1 and 2. Whereas like they'll be 1
Yes.
by a big margin, and like 2 through 9 would be like minuscule differences. So like the Houston scoring defense, what they allow teams to score, 58.9 points. That's 5 fewer points per game than West Virginia at 2.
Yeah.
And then there's 5 points between West Virginia at 2 and Texas Tech at 5. But 11 points between Houston and Texas Tech.
Well, and scoring margin, just offensive versus defensive scoring.
Yeah, okay. So scoring
That's
margin,
yeah.
1.
Houston, go ahead. You got it.
Houston's first at 14 points. Texas Tech is second at 9.5.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, when Houston's first, they're usually first by a lot. Same deal with turnovers. Yes, that's where I was going next.
Here, you do that one.
Okay, so we just mentioned West Virginia is number 2 with turnover margins, and they have a disparity of, let's see, what is that? A little less than
It's 2.5.
2.5. So the turnover margin, West Virginia, 2.5. Turnover margin for Houston is double that, and then some. It's 5.6.
And those are
They're
your
good.
one.
They're good,
first,
guys.
Yeah, your first and second place teams in terms of turnover margin.
The other thing that kills me about Houston, the Jerks are number 1 in 3-point shooting, just barely beating out our beloved Red Raiders. Of course, this doesn't take into account the game tonight. So Texas Tech is number 2 in the league, 36.9% from 3. McMillan may have actually bumped that a little bit tonight. We'll see. But I know the rest of the team didn't shoot well. Anyway, and Houston is 0.1% better as of tonight at 37.0%. So yeah, they've got the best 3-point shooting in the conference, the best scoring margin in the conference, best scoring defense. They allow the fewest rebounds for their opponents in the conference, and they have the best turnover margin in the conference. It's really amazing that Texas Tech was able to do what they did against them in that first game, especially shorthanded.
I'm gonna say without top and without gas.
Yep. UC Irvine went to the bullpen. We're in the top of the 6th.
To your point about the 3-point shooting, Texas Tech shooting 36.9% on the season. They shot 36% tonight. So yeah, under the season average by
a little under
a percent. It may not drop that far. We'll have to see what Houston does tonight. At Arizona State, that game is probably close to going final.
It's I know this CBS Sports is probably behind, but let's say, roughly 12 minutes left, and Houston's up by 22.
Quick check-in, Michael. Have you seen the BYU Kansas score?
Oh,
76 to 41 BYU over 23rd ranked Kansas.
you think this will drop
30
Kansas to 25th?
No, they'll sneak up a little bit.
Okay.
22nd.
It's a good loss.
Let's check scores in the Big 12. TCU up by 21. Good gravy. With 12 to go.
Wait, who's up by 21?
Houston is over Arizona State.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I probably said TCU. I meant Houston. They are shooting 47% from three tonight, Michael.
Ooh, yep. They're gonna hold it on that number one spot.
51% from the field.
Oh my gosh. Do not bring that to Lubbock, please.
Well, it's 7 of 15 from three.
Yikes. I should look. I wonder, maybe they don't shoot that many. They're just really lethal when they do.
Yeah,
Of course, there's still 12 minutes left. That's, a quarter of the game's left.
couldn't tell you about number of attempts and where that ranks, but
Yeah, me neither. Just throwing it out there.
let's see. How is BYU doing this? 13 threes. That would do it. But they've also attempted 33. They're 13 of 33. So they're shooting 40% from three on 33 attempts. 48% from the field. They're 28 of 58. Kansas has attempted 3 free throws.
How many free throws has BYU attended? Because I
10.
think that was something I noticed. Okay.
It's not
let me
that
see.
bad, but Kansas is 6 of 26 from three, which is 23%, and then 17 of 53 from the field, which is 32%. They are having a little bit of a drought up there in the mountains, Michael.
Yes. Well, BYU, because there it was. I knew they were at the top of something. They are the best shooting team in the conference. They shoot 47.5% from the field.
Lethal.
Number one.
When they go in.
Yeah, pretty lethal when it goes in half the time. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't like this stretch. I'm sure everyone will panic if it happens, but 0-4 is on the table despite Kansas apparently laying a giant egg right now against Arizona State. But
they'll bounce back against us.
Probably, yeah, at home. We might be their get right game. So, yeah, you're right. This
Let's see their schedule.
Could be the beginning of an 0-4 stretch, but obviously no one wants that.
So Kansas is 17-8 overall, 8-6 in Big 12 play. Good gravy. Did not realize that. Okay, scroll down. They have Oklahoma State at Boulder.
The Boulder Buffaloes?
At Colorado, and then they host us. So, yeah, they're going to get right, Michael. They're going to beat up on 2 hapless opponents. Figured out their shooting, and then they get us, and then at Houston, home versus Arizona. They've got everything left on their schedule.
Do you think,
outside of Iowa State, they've already played them.
We're going to be TCU and Kansas's Super Bowl. I think they'll really want that game versus Texas Tech. Possibly for making the tournament at all at that point, but unlikely. I'm sure they'll get in. But it'll mean a lot for them to win that game, to maintain seeding. I just don't see, unless they lose out, I just don't see a committee leaving Kansas out, even if I think they should.
You want to talk baseball?
I think so. So real quick,
cope with the hardball?
Yeah. This is not a UC Irvine podcast, but that's all I keep talking about. Dang, just went to commercial. But USC apparently had a pretty good sixth inning, I believe, and I believe they're leading 5-2 right
Ooh.
now. I think they were down 2-1 earlier, but yeah, right as I was about to tell you that, it switched to commercial. So
Is that on Hulu? Is that on
it's on the
ESPN?
it's on the plus. It's on
Let's
the
see.
plus. Yeah.
Probably gonna pull it up and it's gonna have
UC
an
San
autoplay video.
Diego. UC San Diego is also playing tonight on the plus.
Whale's vagina.
That's not their mascot.
It's what San Diego's. It's what it means.
Hmm.
All right, we're gonna just continue the copium, Michael.
Yes, let's do it.
Obviously, North Carolina was just absolutely ramped up to face our Red Raiders.
So many Super Bowls this week.
I mean, shoot, the Eagles going against Mahomes. That was actual Super Bowl.
Yeah.
TCU court storming victory. If there were any fans in North Carolina, they would have rushed the field too. They were held back a little bit with the weather. I'm not dunking on them.
Okay.
But for a top 5 baseball team, looking at their attendance numbers from the weekend, I was like, what is y'all doing? Not that it mattered because Texas Tech got pummeled, Michael. And it was a possibility, right? You're going against a top 5 team. It happens. Top 6. I don't want to give them too much. Talking about it, previewing it, going into this weekend, I was talking about or on this podcast, we talked about the North Carolina pitching, Michael. They held our Red Raiders to 21 of 102 at the plate. Quick math, that's 20%. Batting average of 206 this weekend. You had a total of 4 extra base hits.
Oh.
I couldn't I don't even know if you had a with runners in scoring position opportunity. That's how bad it was. You had 1 double and 3 home runs, but they were all solo home runs. You struck out 29 times. You drew 8 walks. You scored 6 runs. On the mound and defensively, you gave up 24 hits, 17 runs. Here's where it hurts you. And I just think already getting cynical. Only 11 of those runs were earned, Michael. Not that losing 11-6 would have made you feel better. But had you done it cleanly, okay, well they've got great pitching staff. But when you gave them 6, your entire run production, they covered up by runs you gave them. They also drew 13 walks and even numbers on strikeouts, although that felt like it was a lot more in favor of the North Carolina pitching staff. 29 strikeouts apiece. On the weekend, you committed 4 errors. Game 1, 2 runs scored after an error, which would have ended the inning. Error, they scored 2 runs. And then you had, North Carolina had another run score after an error in game 3. An inning. So, not that any of the games were well, you lost it by 1 run because of an error. The closest game was game 3, your Sunday game that you played on Saturday. You lost 4-2. Game 2 of the doubleheader, you lost 8-3. You played 2 on Friday. You played, the first pitch Friday was at 11. Then you played the doubleheader that afternoon. Game 1, if I can get my book to turn over, you lost 5-1. You got to see Jack Siebert on the mound in game 1, he went 3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 1 earned, 1 walk to 4 strikeouts. Followed up Zane Petty and then Tyler Boudreau. We talked about all your starting pitching guys' depth that you could eventually see, because of the no midweeks. You basically got 3 starters in game 1.
Oh man.
They gave up combined 9 hits, 5 runs. Only 2 of them were earned. Had you lost this game 2-1, you probably felt pretty good, especially with the guys that you had on the mound. 4 walks to 10 strikeouts. On the flip side, the North Carolina pitchers combined for 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. Game 2, you had Mac Hoyer take the mound against their Huff, however you pronounce it. I did not watch this game or did not listen to it. Hewer went 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs. All of them were earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Parrish came in, pitched an inning, gave up 3 hits, 3 runs. 2 of those were earned, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Will Jordan and Zach Crotchfeld combined for the last 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. 1 of them earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. You had 11 strikeouts in game 2, but still gave up 8 runs. Game 3. You had Jackson Burns start this game. He went all of 2/3 of an inning. 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 3 walks, 1 K. Lucas Perko comes in, goes 5 1/3. Maybe he gets the third start next weekend or this weekend. 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned. 2 walks to 7 strikeouts. And then JT Drake came in for the final 2 innings of this game. No hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. You scored 1 run in the first, 1 run in the 9th. So you finally jump on the scoreboard first. Kyler Thompson, who had started in center field for you in the first 2 games, shifted over to left field in game 3 here. Gets a single, then steals a base, and Damian Bravo 2 batters later knocks him in on an RBI single. So there was your batting with runners in scoring position.
That was it.
And I think, let me see. Sabateri also had an at bat with a runner in scoring position this game. So you had 2, and you were 2 for 2. So you had limited opportunities with guys on base, and then you just couldn't get them to advance. I don't know if it was team speed or they just hit in the right spot or they were just super aggressive. Michael, watching the game and scoring it, it seemed like they would get a guy on first and they'd hit a single after him, but that runner on first would get 2 bases or score. Whereas you'd get a guy on first, you'd hit a single, that runner on first would end up on second. They were taking extra bases. And again, I don't know if it was just exactly where the ball was hit. So like, while it only ended up being a single, they gave the runner plenty of time to move, or they were just faster than you were. You did steal a few bases this weekend. You didn't catch anybody stealing bases, but yeah. Anyways, not a fantastic start to the season, Michael, but not all that surprising outside of possibly the number of errors. It was a big issue last year. You committed 4 on the weekend.
Well, and not to get too into it, but fielding percentage. I saw that Pompey is at 0.6.
Yeah,
He must have had a rough outing.
We talked about his fielding getting better at third base for him to have an error at third base in game 1. And it was early. It may have been. Let me see. It was first inning, fourth batter,
Oh man, it's about as early as it gets.
and then the batter after him, after that error, which would have been out number 3.
Oh boy.
Next batter hits a single, which is an RBI. So they scored 1 run. North Carolina scored 1 run in the first, and it came after a Pompey error that should have ended that inning.
I mean, it's a lot of things. 3 games in, everyone's fielding percentage is going to be every
Sample
average
size
that
is small.
everyone yes every average that everyone has is not good. But so the very least I could say is, if someone's ERA is 6 or 9 or whatever already, they just had a rough weekend. That's all you can say. Players have rough weekends, rough games all the time.
Yeah.
So that I'm sure that'll even out on a lot of these things, but yeah, that was one that stuck out.
In terms of your starting rotation, not your rotation, your starters, they went pretty much exactly as we talked about on the preview show. Sabateri was your second baseman. He hit leadoff all weekend. Kyler Thompson started every game this weekend, but played 2 games in center, 1 in left. Logan Hughes played 2 games in left, 1 at first. Damian Bravo started all 3 games in right field. Maxey was your catcher game 1. Davis Rivers was your DH game 1. Rivers was your catcher game 2. Schultz was your DH game 2. And then it was back to Maxey at catcher game 3, Rivers at DH. Tracer Lopez was your starter at shortstop all 3 games. Villanueva was your first baseman for the first 2 games. Pompey was your third baseman all 3 games. You did get Kyler Johnson, the other center fielder, to start game 3 when you had Kyler Thompson move over to left, Hughes play first. So Villanueva came out of the lineup, although he came as a pinch hitter in the 9th, but popped up to right field. Anywho's, you've got a friend in me, Michael. You've got a week here. Probably, I'm not sure if you would have even played games had they been on the schedule this week with this weather. But you've got UC Irvine coming into town for your home openers. Let's see. I haven't checked the weather yet, Michael. Have you?
It's going to be very cold, but warming up on Friday. But I think Saturday is going to be 59 or 60. And yes, I have been checking because I have tickets for the Sunday game, which could be like 70 and sunny. It could be a perfect day on Sunday.
Yeah. High of 40 on Friday, high of, at least as of Apple, 10:04 Tuesday night. High of 57 on Saturday, high of 71 on Sunday.
Yeah, they're playing at 1 p.m. Sundays as of now. Who knows?
Historic loss for the Jayhawks. Number 23 Kansas Falls, 91-57. I was going to update the weather. It is 12 degrees with a real feel of -4.
There we are. That's our turnover margin.
Man. So yeah, hopefully you get some things turned around a little bit offensively. Hitting 206 on the weekend was not great. UC Irvine is a good opponent. You gotta figure some things out before you head to Las Vegas. So
yeah, UC Irvine. So, like we mentioned, down 5-2 right now to USC, who had a 4-run 6th inning, I believe, and they are 2-1 on the season. Obviously, not including tonight, but it's a pretty impressive 2-1. They were at the MLB Desert Invitational. I did not look up where that was. but that was where they opened their season in kind of a round robin tournament. They won their first game 10-5 versus then number 24 Nebraska. Then they went on to face New Mexico, who is always kind of plucky. Soundly beat them 18-4, and then lost 8-9 versus number 16 Vanderbilt. Went into the ninth. They were down 2, so it was 7-9 in the ninth. And Castagnola hit a solo homer on a 2-2 pitch with 2 outs. So a really clutch homer to get them within 1 run. But then the next batter struck out swinging on an 0-2. I think he swung at every pitch. And they lost by 1. But anyway, so yeah, 2-1 on the season. Going to need something pretty special to happen right now to go 3-1. But like you mentioned, very solid team. You've had this in here for a while. 45-14 last season, 22-8 in their conference. This is going to be another good test for the Red Raiders, like you said, before they head to Vegas.
Top of the 7th for the Anteaters, down 5-2. But
come on, Eaters. Yeah.
And then so next weekend, the Las Vegas Baseball Classic schedule: Friday versus Illinois, Saturday versus Texas, Sunday versus Washington. And then you get your midweek that you talked about, UC San Diego on March 4th and 5th, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then you go to Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start Big 12 play.
Yeah, I mean, then Big 12 starts the 14th of March, so at Houston. So I did get the chance to listen to most of the episode last week. I only listen when I'm not on it. And Keith mentioned a couple of things. One that I thought was really interesting, but I find these random things interesting. But the other thing he mentioned was, what Tadlock kind of spoke to at that dinner at Kegel's was they're trying to go back to the we'll play anybody anywhere, and you're seeing it. And that's how you're going to be like 7-11 or something to start the season sometimes. And because going to Grand Canyon, that's nothing to sneeze at. They've beaten Tech, and they've beaten Tech when Tech's had really good teams. So I don't know if they've ever played have they played a 3-game series against Grand Canyon? I remember a couple of midweeks, possibly like maybe a 2-game series.
I don't think a 3-game, but it's
I don't know if they've done
2.
like a weekend 3-game series. So this will be, they will have this on their schedule. It'll be an important game for them, and it will be for Texas Tech too. But the other thing that Keith mentioned, I just find it so interesting that they're switching dugouts this year. And I mentioned that to the guy who basically trained me at work, and he was a huge baseball fan, was at Tech, a little bit before I was. And so I told him that today we were driving to that meeting. I said, I don't know if you heard this, but they're going to switch over to the third base dugout. He's like, oh, where they used to be. Just like, boom. He was right there with it. Oh yeah. I remember when they switched over there. It just felt so weird. So he's glad they're going back to the third base dugout. I don't know why it seems like such a big deal. And the fact that it's going to switch the bullpen too. It's going to be weird to look up and see the guys
hopping the fence from left
on the
field.
fence. Yeah, on the fence from left field. That's going to be strange.
I guess we'll just have to get used to it.
Yep.
All right. Let's just keep it rolling, Michael. I have no questions for you. And
okay.
I'll get into what do we learn, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So let's do
sounds great.
What do we learn?
What do we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
I feel like I had something specific to put in here, but really the question I have, and I toss it to Keith. I was like, what do you think this means? the Wolf brand chili hot dog sauce in the What Do We Learn section that you entered before you ended up before you had to step away last week.
Right. I mean,
We were on the edge of our
fully-
seat, like, what is this? What does this mean?
Well,
So what did you
this
learn,
is-
Michael?
I learned one that this is a thing. So Wolf brand chili has a can of chili that's called, quote, hot dog sauce. And my wife bought it and she's like, we've got to try this. And I was immediately on board. Yes, we must. And so we had chili cheese dogs for Super Bowl. And she heated up the hot dog sauce
It's so weird to call it hot dog sauce.
in the little saucepan. Because my first thought was, I mean, I've never had Wolf brand chili and thought, this is too meaty. There's just way. I mean, guys, can we add some sauce into this? I've never thought that.
Can we thin this bad boy down?
Yeah. So, I think all we determined, it's probably a little bit even heavier on the sauce to meat ratio, but the main difference is the meat is a lot smaller. It's like they really they took their time getting all the little bits of ground quote unquote beef separated in there. The other thing is I didn't notice this while eating it. So I ate a chili dog with mustard and cheese. That's it. And it tasted great. No issues. And then I went back later and we had some chips and some cheese laying around. I thought, I'll just have a little bit of this hot dog sauce on its own. It tasted like cardboard. Absolute cardboard. It was terrible by itself. I don't know what they did, what they took in or took out, but man, do not have a bowl of that. You're going to be very mad. But on a chili dog, I didn't notice it at all. So it was just kind of bizarre that it was so bad to me. Like it just
Can I read the
like from
ingredients?
like they stored it in an oatmeal canister is what it tasted like after I had it just by itself. Go ahead, ingredients. Yeah.
Ingredient list: water, beef broth, textured vegetable protein, pinto bean powder, tomato paste, cornstarch, chili pepper, salt, caramel color, sugar, garlic powder, soy, spice, natural flavors.
Where's the beef? It's not even in there.
There's no beef in this.
Well, that's why it tasted so weird.
It's got to be the
I've got to look into that. Is
it's
it
the textured vegetable protein. It's soy flour and
it's not-
caramel color.
It's not vegan because of the beef broth. So is it vegetarian? Oh wow. Did we have vegetarian chili?
No, the can. This is what the can says. Authentic Texas recipe hot dog sauce. This isn't like whatever. But this definitely has no meat in it. Michael.
Where's the meat?
Textured vegetable protein. That's the meat you have.
Wow. Well, it was good on a hot dog. I got no issues with it on a hot dog. Just don't have a bowl of red. Don't pour this.
It's authentic Texas recipe, Michael.
Oh boy, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna put some jalapenos in it. No, you're not. You're gonna hate it. You're just not gonna like it.
Wow,
That's crazy.
I wonder how this would work over Fritos for like a Frito pie.
This might be
probably
like one
need
of
some beans though.
Yeah, or mustard. I think you might need some mustard or some hot sauce, which is doable. It's kind of out there on Frito pie. I don't think I've ever had that, but I wouldn't turn it down. Who was it? Rob mentioned something in the Discord right before the Super Bowl, and he had seen this marvel called, it was like a chili cheese dog Frito pie. So it was basically a Frito pie. Boy, I'm really good at words right now. It was basically a Frito pie, but it had sliced hot dogs on it with the chili and cheese. And I thought, yeah, that's beautiful. I got to do that. The other thing I learned, which was so much better than Wolf Brand's hot dog sauce. So we were coming back through New Mexico last week, and we stopped at Leal's in Clovis.
I have a picture to show you, Michael.
What do you got? What do you got to show me? I'll continue the Leal's story afterwards. What do you got?
Sorry. It is a screen grab.
Hang on.
JT Toppin's final shot.
Oh, where he's getting
15 has arm-to-arm contact from wrist to elbow. Definitely
Sure.
not a foul though.
No. Not with 2.0 seconds left.
Let's see. if
Wait,
it'll
hang on.
focus.
Let it
Probably
focus.
won't. There it goes. No, here. I'll just come in close. Come in
Oh,
real
yeah.
close.
Just a little elbow grab there. No, you got to let that go, man. That's what are they going to do? Send him to the 3-point line to shoot 3 free throws down 3?
Let's be honest. I wouldn't have felt confident that he'd make all 3.
I kind of wouldn't even want to put it on him.
Yeah.
That would suck to have to.
All right. Sorry. You stopped at Leal's.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we stopped at Leal's in Clovis last week. And it was just happened to be a different day where the temperature was 21.
I'm kind of over these like midweek swings.
You figure it out. Figure it out, Texas. I mean, it's been we've had a couple of 80-degree swings in the last 10 days. Just figure it out. So I thought this is a perfect day to have chili verde con carne. And Spencer, I was so right. Just this beautiful green chili verde. The pork was excellent. The potato was good. Fresh, hot flour tortillas with it. Beans, rice. It was a perfect meal, especially when it was 21 outside and there was still frost from the night before on all the trees. Looked like a winter wonderland out there. So shout out to Leal's. I really like Leal's in Muleshoe. We end up there quite a bit for work, or we have for the last year or so. And I hadn't been to the one in Clovis in quite a while, and boy, that was all right. Good job by them. And we came through at a weird time, man. It was like 2:00, 2 or 3 or something, and it still was just perfect.
Still slapped, huh?
Yes, it slapped.
Okay, so you mentioning the random time that we had 21 degree wet weather last week, that jogged my memory because I was outside when it was 17 degrees, babysitting a live national news team. News team assemble. That's two Anchorman references for you tonight. We had a national news team on our campus last week, Michael. I don't know if you heard this. We've had a little outbreak of the measles. And I say
aware.
we universally, not we, my place of employment. We, West Texas and
We
Eastern
as
New
in-
Mexico.
Yeah, Garza, Lubbock,
Gaines.
Gaines. Yep.
Gaines. What are you doing, Gaines? I'm at the risk.
We don't mean to pick on our counties here. We don't mean to pick on them.
At the risk of sounding like I'm a big pharma cuck, y'all. This is a vaccine preventable disease that has been proven to be safe.
Says
Now,
you.
Yeah. I'm in the pocket of big pharma. I'll just
follow the money.
follow the money. I'm paid by a hospital system to say this. You know what, Michael? We would rather you guys stay home than fill our hospitals. We're just here because we have to be. We're here because we have to be. Here's the thing, Michael. The everyday measles infection, I say that like a measles infection is common. It's not. We have great vaccine acceptance rates, even considering this current outbreak. Here's the thing, Michael. if you have the measles, it's a very unpleasant upper respiratory infection. But most of the time you recover with no issues. It's like having the flu or
Well,
COVID or
why are there so
RSV.
many hospitalizations?
Well, because oftentimes you need oxygen support. Like you're not intubated, but you have, a
Yeah.
little nasal cannula to help you because your upper respiratory compromised. High fever, rash, whatever, red eyes. The problem is if you are one of the unlucky few that have a severe reaction to this infection, you could have severe and long-term pneumonia, which that's no bueno. You could develop meningitis.
Mm.
You could develop encephalitis. Those are bad. Those last two things can have lasting impacts. You could have brain swelling that could lead to all kinds of problems. Michael, if your brain swells and there's nowhere for it to go because you have a skull here, any number of things can be damaged or injured, and you lose a function. People go blind. People die. Rare. Absolutely rare. But here's the thing, people. Put your tinfoil hats on. The measles vaccine had almost eradicated this disease from our population. And then some whack job said, "Oh no, but that vaccine gives you autism." It doesn't. It doesn't. But vaccine acceptance rates dipped a little bit, and guess what came back, Michael?
Measles.
So what we're seeing, the people that are getting measles now are unvaccinated. I'm not saying like if you've had the vaccine, you're good to go. If you previously had measles, congratulations, you have the same immunity that somebody that has the vaccine, because it came out probably around the time our parents were youngins.
Yes.
The late 50s, 60s times, I believe.
Yeah. That sounds right.
And basically say anybody that was born before then assumed immunity because you probably got measles because it still is super contagious. And it runs rampant. Like it's an unfortunate confluence of bad circumstances with this. It's happening in a very tight-knit small community of unvaccinated individuals. It's going to infect a lot of people within this community. Anyways.
Well, the good news is they've got the meningitis vaccine.
Sure. I mean, I'm not telling you how to raise your kids, but that MMR vaccine's a pretty preferable choice than ending up in the ER.
What is that? Measles, mumps, rubella?
Rubella. And fans of
Forgot
Brooklyn
about
Nine
the mumps.
fans of Brooklyn Nine-Nine know how miserable mumps can be.
Yes, I forgot about that being a thing. I kind of remember hearing that when I was a kid. It was on some shows or there were
Extreme
references to it.
testicular discomfort
Oof.
and goiters.
Oh boy.
I couldn't even tell you what rubella is, but it's also making a comeback because of it being within that vaccine.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Anywho's, you know who's had a fantastic last couple weeks at work? This guy. Because, like I said, I was on campus helping babysit this live shot. We have rules and policies that we can't allow news media teams to roam on campus. We have HIPAA laws to uphold.
Sure.
Well, it was 17 degrees that morning. I was standing outside of our children's hospital, Michael, watching this team very slowly set up a live shot. I was like,
Well, because it was cold. That's why they were slow.
They had a running car that they kept going back into, and like we're gonna sit in the heated car. I was like, I don't have that luxury, and I was not dressed to be outside in 17 degrees for an hour and a half.
No. I know how that goes. You go into the office and you're like, I've just got to make it from the car to the door. And then there's some days where it's like, oh, we need you to go look at something or check something out, and you're the guy wearing a windbreaker, and it's a wind chill of 9. No hat, loafers. Yeah, I'm fine. It's good. I'll just stand out here. Don't worry about me.
So you're just to be clear, you're not hearing me tell you to go get your flu vaccine, although I think that's also very important, or your COVID vaccine, which I'm not even going to say anything past that. MMR, though, completely different. It's proven to be safe and effective, and your vaccination helps those around us. Because there are still certain populations of individuals that cannot be vaccinated because of their immune compromised state.
Absolutely, there are. Yep.
But also, it's pretty good for you too. Just, anyways, that's what I learned. Measles sucks. It's preventable. You make choices for you, but this seems like it's one to be made. Anything else, Michael? Before we wrap this up,
I
probably waxed a little too
got
political there.
I think you're good.
Well, this is probably not the episode y'all are expecting.
Is it ever?
Texas Tech loses 69-66 in Fort Worth. Gets swept on the road in North Carolina to open the baseball season. And we have a measles outbreak. Largest in the country in like 30-something years. That's us. That's our claim to fame right now. But that'll do it for us. 23 Personnel Podcast. For Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.
All right, well, I did it. 58